One got knocked down, he won't get up again. The other went and knocked him down. One got knocked down, and now he's fucking dead. The other went and knocked him out. Combo breaker!
Today's fighters are beautiful, brutal, fist-fighting ladies. And if you didn't see last episode, allow me to introduce today's super attractive warriors. Today, we have a battle between Yang Xiaolong, the bruiser of Team RWBY, and Leone, the lion fist fighter of Night Raid. Alright, let's start this review off right with my new favorite anime characters. So, Leone wields what's called an Imperial Arm, which is basically, hers is a belt that called the Animal King Lionella. With this belt, Leone can transform into her lion form, where she gains animal-like claws that are also her fists. She also grows a tail and ears on the top of her head. With this, she gains enhanced senses, a stat boost, and even regeneration so well it can heal most wounds, and even stop bleeding and cover up lost limbs. However, it cannot regrow or reattach these limbs. Now, Leone can easily fight large danger beasts, and she's physically the strongest of Night Raid. And even without her Imperial Arm, and while heavily wounded, she could cave in a human skull. She's also able to bite through flamethrowers, lift and throw large rocks, punch away large castle pieces while they're falling through the air, and shatter stone pillars in a single punch. Leone is able to pretty much dodge point-blank explosions, but not only dodge them, but grab Akame and hide behind a shield, and she's been shown to be on the same level as Akame, if not faster, who could keep up with Taeko in combat. She has survived Budo's lightning and a sneak attack that cut her open, and her regeneration makes her next to impossible to seriously harm for long periods of time. Now, Leone is pretty skilled and accomplished. She's a very good assassin and martial artist and amazing at stealth, but she isn't without her flaws. She lacks range attacks, and she has a rather straightforward fighting style that can be easy to predict if you know her. Ah, yes, Yang, the blonde bombshell of Team RWBY, and she's back after a pretty horrific loss to Garnet pretty early on in my series. So let's go right into Yang's arsenal and powers. Now, Yang has her semblance, and this basically allows her to convert damage she's taken into stat boost. Now, she still takes the damage and feels the effects of it, but in return becomes stronger, kinda like Lucario in Smash Brothers. Now, Yang wields her Ember and Celia, which is basically these shotgun gauntlets that can fire projectiles upon punching, or just fire them all together. She can also create earthquakes by hitting the ground and shockwaves by hitting someone with enough force. Now, Yang's been shown to be stronger than her sister RWBY, who's overpowered and killed the Nevermore, which is a large Grim, and she's been shown to have the power to overpower Grims on her own. She's also been able to keep up with Blake and Mercury Black, and even some Grims who can fly and run at high speeds in combat. Yang has also survived attacks from Grims and being punched through large stone pillars before. Now, Yang is a highly skilled fighter, and being able to outmatch groups of enemies and monsters much larger than herself in hand-to-hand combat. Her fighting style is much more aggressive than her teammates, bearing a resemblance to a combination of boxing and kickboxing. However, her brawler fighting style is pretty representative of her personality, and her anger is a pretty big asset to her in combat. But she is far from flawless. Her hot-headedness can get her into trouble. She's not very skilled against fighting people who do a lot of kicking or dodging. And to be totally honest, continuous use of her aura or semblance causes her to decay to the point where she can actually just fall unconscious or even be incapacitated. Leone is on a rooftop looking at a wanted poster with Yang's picture on it. Yang then walks to the town streets, and Leone jumps down and lands behind her. Yang turns as Leone jumps into the shadows, and Yang activates her gauntlets. Leone jumps out of the shadows and punches Yang across the face, causing her to stumble back. Yang then looks at Leone and loads up her gauntlets. Yang rushes over and punches at Leone, who dodges to the left and slashes Yang's face, cutting her open with her claws. Yang then goes to punch Leone in the head, but stops halfway through and uppercuts her with such force that it launches Leone into the air. Yang then grabs her when she lands and fires multiple shots into Leone's stomach. Yang then drops Leone, and Yang reloads her gauntlets. Leone stands back up with her wounds starting to heal. Yang then looks at Leone, who rushes forward and punches Yang in the head, and then sucker punches her, knocking her to the ground. Leone grabs Yang by the throat and starts choking her, and then throws Yang up into the air. Leone then jumps after her and cuts her with her claws across the stomach, causing her to bleed heavily. Yang then lands, and one of her hairs falls from her head. Yang then stands up with a yellow aura forming around her. Leone smiles and goes for a right hook at Yang, who dodges and punches Leone in the stomach multiple times, firing multiple shots into her, and follows up with a full power punch to Leone's face, knocking her against a wall. Yang then punches the ground, causing Leone to fall over from the shockwaves. Yang rushes over and goes for one more punch to end it all, but Leone dodges and uppercuts Yang into the air. Yang stands back up pissed as once she lands, and goes for a jumping punch, but but Leone dodges the punch to the left and then bites Yang's neck, tearing out a large chunk of her flesh. Yang starts to stand back up as her aura starts glowing, her eyes start glowing red. Yang then goes in for one final punch, but Leone ducks and jabs her in the stomach, and then follows up by ripping her in half with her claws. Our winner is Leone, and for fairly obvious reasons, actually. See, both Yang and Leone clock in at massively hypersonic speeds, but Leone clocks in at small town level strength, strength and durability, whereas Yang is only multi-city block level. Now, while this isn't too much of a gap, it's definitely a good reason for why she takes the win, but you'll see why when I compare their other traits. Yang's semblance allows her to grow stronger as she takes damage, however she still feels the effects of damage like a normal person. And, while this is a very useful power and pretty damn ridiculous, the thing is, while she's in the fight taking the damage, and yes, she'll be getting stronger, she's still feeling the full effect of the damage. But Leone, who's already has the strength and durability advantage, has a healing factor as well, so this will allow her to recover from Yang's hits early on in the fight for the most part. So Yang will be taking constant damage as she rises to the power level to even match Leone, whereas Leone will be in near perfect condition when she gets to that point to actually match her. Now, while Leone lacks ranged attacks and Yang has her shot gauntlets, Leone has dealt with projectiles before in a match, so Yang's gauntlets won't be too difficult for Leone to have to adapt and deal with. Now, Yang also has problems against foes who dodge and kick, and Leone being an assassin and martial artist, along with her super senses, will allow her to dodge and sneak up on Yang, which, Yang already has a problem against these kind of foes, and it's just going to piss her off and make her stop thinking and start kind of punching out of anger. So our winner is Leone. Next time on Combo Breaker. You know who I love? Jack Black. He's hilarious, his movies are awesome, so how about we take two of his best characters and make them fight to the death? Eddie Riggs versus Poe. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and put in the comments what you think of the next match, who you think will win, why, anything you got. I'd love to see what you guys put.